Today, my mom will be having a conversation with Filipe DeAndrade.
Well, Philippe, normally I start my show with listening to a little my favorite song, Bill Withers, It's a Lovely Day and all that. But we could barely get this happening. So let's not jinx it and let's just go. Philippe,
Let's roll right into it. But you got me all right? You can hear me well?
I can and I can see you. I missed the sunset behind you. That was earlier when we were trying to figure out how to get the microphone.
I know, and I was gonna show off the jungle. I've got this epic view of the ocean in front of me. I'm in this beautiful forest, but you got me.
That's right,
that's
man.
all I can offer
You
you
are
right now.
beautiful. We just need you, baby. Welcome with Down with Dedee. And I want to say thank you for coming on this show. I want to say thank you for what you do. I know we've never met in real life, but I started following you on Instagram. I don't remember who started following who, but I love your work. You are that person who works for NatGeo, and you're my second friend, by the way, I've met. I just love NatGeo, who's out there being part of the solution, right? With animal welfare and the beauty of what we have here. That's a gift. And you're trying to document it, preserve it, and teach us about it. What do you want to say about what you do?
Well,
Right?
what I'd like to say off the bat is
Yeah.
thank you. And you are doing it as well. You're doing it by using your platform, by using your name, by standing on all of the amazing work that you've done already, and then leveraging a voice for wildlife, sharing your passion for it, and doing it in Los Angeles, of all places, the urban jungle, the place that really, I chase jaguars, I stalk snakes, I swim with sharks. And the thing that scares the hell out of me the most is Los Angeles. I was just there, and I was like, okay, Ethiopian food one day, hop in an Uber, get over here, try to get some gear, get confiscated on my walk by some people that need some money and some help. Like, it's like that navigating the urban jungle is like, that's an adventure all in itself. So the fact that you're doing that and you're leveraging all of your work and your voice and your beautiful like presence to be able to speak for animals, thank you as much as the wonderful things that you said to me. But yeah,
Thank you.
I consider myself the absolute 100% luckiest person on the planet because I don't have to grow up. I get to chase animals. I get to dive into their world and try to capture natural stories. And you, as somebody that's on the other side of the camera, can understand and appreciate all the work that goes into perfecting a story, to making something look, sound, and feel amazing, and how to resonate, emotion with an audience. I try to do the same thing, but with animal actors and actresses, right? So
Right.
I don't
And they don't lie. They don't
and they
lie.
don't lie. They
And guess
do
what?
not
They don't want
lie.
nothing from you other than to get out of my territory, or don't get mad at me for getting in your territory when you're in mine. I love that, by the way.
Exactly. And
Right?
I'm Brazilian, so I can empathize and I can sympathize with the fact that wildlife, it either wants to eat you, be friends with you, or mate with you. It's really one of those three. So as a Brazilian, I can understand and I can speak that language. So wildlife has always resonated with me. I was lucky enough to be born in Brazil, and so wildlife has always coursed through my veins. Early trips to the Pantanal, to the Amazon, really injected this curiosity, this passion for anything wild, and for just being out there, for being in the jungle, for being in the rivers, and for spending time around wild characters. That's how I grew up. And that passion for the wild never left. So it only made sense that I get to do what I do now as a National Geographic filmmaker, photographer, and explorer. As somebody that travels the world with a camera in my hand, I honestly consider myself the luckiest person on the planet to experience what I get to experience.
I gotta say, I just love what you said. I just wonder if a lot of people or enough people really appreciate what they're doing with their lives. And here's then my question. If you don't, then guess what? You do have the ability to say, hey, left-hand turn. I'm almost 60 and I've like decided I was going to be an actor at 18, and then somewhere along the line in my 50s I had two kids in tow, single parent. I didn't plan that either. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college. Disappeared for 10 years. In the midst of that, got my ass sober, took a year, then came back, finished my master's, and then bam, then I was on this show, which I can't mention right now because we're still on strike. It's a show I was on for 3 years, and all of a sudden now I'm finishing my master's program as a social worker. I'm sober, very new sober, and I'm on this show. And then now I said, wait a minute, I want to put it all together, and I want to be like, what am I doing with my soul in this body in this lifetime? right? So that it matters. And that's what I love about people like you. And there's a lot of us out there. And I don't think that we hear enough about people like you. We're hearing a lot of negative. We're hearing a lot of that dark energy that's out there. And the world's a very crazy place. But then I like watch your Instagram and I go, oh, thank you. Thank you for your film. Thank you for your footage. Thank you for your pictures. You remind me why, for me, I'm alive because I get animals. Animals have always gotten me. I've gotten them, right? So my question is to you. This we know why you. Oh, actually, this is what I want to ask you. This is totally random. I thought about it. You're always in the depths of the sea or out in the middle of the jungle. I mean, you're home for a minute, right? A nano minute. How do you navigate giving us all this beautiful footage and have any kind of like a social life? Is your wife on there with you filming you?
So that's probably the most important question because, I feel like I'm part of the whole captive breeding program when it comes to wildlife filmmakers. We're all close-knit circle, hang out together, don't really have a social life, but like I will say that not enough credit goes out to the partners of the people that are in this industry.
Yeah.
And so your question is such a relevant one because not much gets talked about on that. It really does require the patience, the passion, and the understanding and empathy from the other side. So I'm lucky to have a partner that's in this field. She's a marine biologist. She's a scientist.
I love that.
And so,
I love that.
My girlfriend gets it. Like we met because of our mutual passion and admiration for nature and because we're both crazy about this. So you have to understand that, as you mentioned, like I go for months at a time. I'm in this deepest and darkest of crevices and situations trying to walk out with an animal story. And so sometimes you challenge yourself, like, what am I doing here? I'm risking my life. Is it worth it? Is this going to matter? Are enough people going to care? Is it going to translate to some sort of action that people will feel something about what I'm trying to do here and then go and take action and want to preserve these things? But then on the other side, I have to think about, my family and my friends and my partner that I'm not leaving behind, but I'm stepping away from. So when you have a little bit of perspective of like love, passion, family, friends in life, it makes you judge the situations that you go into, not from a perspective of like, I'm not going to do this because it's what makes my heart sing. I have to do this. It's what makes me feel alive more than anything else on the planet. However, when you have love, it makes you feel like, am I doing it the best way possible? Am I prepared to go into this? And then what parameters and what safety nets can I put in place? Because when you're not only thinking about yourself, then you're trying to capture the images and story in the way that you can actually make it to the next assignment. Because you can't save animals if you're dead. So
yeah, it's
when you have
difficult.
someone waiting for you at home, then you want to get back to that someone,
I love that. Actually, I think what you're saying is support. And there's good support and not so, right? And I think when you're with the right partner, they get that. They know how to support you. And also, I think what you're talking about is learning how to share your space and time. But you have a partner that gets that. You're not going away for a month to go under the seas and take these beautiful pictures in the middle of the jungle to get away from her. She gets that it's like you're here. For those who are listening, I'm patting where you'd put the IV in or where you'd put your drug in, right? I can say that I'm in recovery, but that's your DOC, your drug of choice. It's like that, going out and doing this amazing mission with animals. And she gets that because she gets it because she's you, right? And I think that that's really beautiful. I do say to people, because I'm also single, but I always say, and people tell me, you're going to meet somebody when you go do what you love in life. And then you're going to meet somebody else who also loves that same thing. And you have that common denominator. And it's that common denominator where you're going to really be able to help support each other. You're with the right person if they bring out the best in you.
100%, 100%. And also, like, it's, I watched, one of my idols is Jane Goodall. I read Through the Window when I was in 6th grade and she inspired me. I met her at Hollywood Bowl at the premiere of her documentary, Jane, and just melted into her arms and got to spend some quality time with her. Like, and for me, something that she said that stood out was when she had a kid that actually made her a better conservationist because it gave her perspective for a life outside of hers, and then to pass on a legacy and put things into place of like why she's doing what she's doing. And that's the one thing I think about a lot in life is like, as wildlife filmmakers, as a photographer, I put myself in insane situations. I've been arrested in 6 different countries. I've illegally like had to sneak in and out of countries. I've had guns pointed out my head more than I would like to admit. I've been held up by the cartel. I've been in and out of, very, very pressing situations. And that's all great when you're like young and there's nobody waiting for you at home. But like a lot of times I would say to myself, like, I do what I do because of like my life situation and not having anybody to worry about me. But then when I started thinking about family, friends, partners, love, like the perspective of having that in my life, I almost wonder how I've even been able to do that at all, because that perspective, like I said, that Jane Goodall, it made her a better conservationist when she had a kid. Fighting for something else, fighting for someone other than you, it's the ultimate selfless act. And as a conservationist, I can stand on the work that I do for animals in terms of trying to preserve them, save them, and make the world a better place for wild creatures that inhabit our planet as much as we do. But I think love, friendship, connection with family, finding somebody in your life that helps you see the world differently, that's what's made me a better conservationist. And as an example, to a connection to what you just shared, I was lucky to be raised by a single mother. I was lucky to be raised.
Thank you for saying
that.
That means a lot. There's days it's really hard.
Doing that.
Yeah,
it's super hard. And thank you for doing what you're doing, because your kids are getting the ultimate life lesson. And you've got a photo of a lion just really quickly on the backdrop. So I love to tell stories of powerful female characters in nature. The first photograph that I ever had in a National Geographic magazine was of a single female lioness that was raising 4 cubs in Botswana in the Okavango Delta, up against all odds, doing her best to provide for these young cubs. And it's a story that I resonated with as somebody that grew up an illegal immigrant, 20 years undocumented in the United States, having came from Brazil, raised by a single mother in poverty. That powerful female character in my life helped me resonate with so many characters in the wild that I was trying to share their daily struggles with. But it's the story that I knew, and so that's what I was chasing. But even in my films now, even in my documentaries now, even in my images, I'm looking at a photo right in front of me of that female lioness Matsumi carrying her cubs to a new safety area. And then you have a photo of a lion behind you. It's this connection, this love, this reverence, this attachment that we build with wild animals, having spent time with them, that reminds us of our own safety net, our own emotional, visceral story. And so I'm always chasing that powerful female character story in nature. So you're a representation of that. And that image that you have behind you is an exact representation of what you're doing as a mother. So you can empathize with what wild animals are going through in their daily struggle. And it makes you a better conservationist.
Wow, thank you for that. That was absolutely beautiful. And you know something, you hit it on the head. There are days where I feel like the lioness out there with 4 cubs by herself, trying to figure out how am I going to get through this day with these, kids. And I also have a ton of rescued animals, and it's crazy over here. I wouldn't have it any other way, by the way. Yeah, and you probably don't know the story. That's my spirit animal. When I was in rehab trying to meditate, which is a joke, because I'm about as hyper as they come, and calming me down was nothing short of a miracle. This male lion, or a male lion, came to me in my head when I was closing my eyes, and he calmed me many times. He still comes to me. Oh, dude, lightning was just right behind you.
Oh, really?
That so cool.
You're in the jungle. Welcome to Costa Rica, Dedee. I can't be responsible for what happens.
I love that. For those listening, you guys have to watch this on YouTube. He just had this flash of light. And I don't know if you notice it, but my video is very kind of like foggy. I don't have a filter on or anything, but I'm like in this angelic cloud. I think Mother Nature is just embracing us and very proud of us that we were able to get the mics working at all.
She
I'm
let
like,
us
I've
have some
always,
quality time together.
whenever I can't turn the computer on, the mic or whatever, my boys are like, really, Mom? I'm like, look, put me out in the middle of the jungle with a stick and I can figure it out and feed you guys, by the way. And none of us will get sick. But if you ask me to turn the computer on, I'm going to scream, and they're like,
That's what
it's
you
such,
got them for.
so I have to say, I love the fact that there are other people in the world that are part of the solution, that are trying to help all of us out here be what I call light work. A friend of mine said, Dedee, you do light work. And I went, oh, I'm going to totally steal that. You do light work, Filipe. I don't know if you know that. When you have good thoughts in your mind, love in your heart, and then as a result, your actions are positive and part of the solution, that's light work. People are inspired by that. You make people feel good about being alive on, I'm sure, some days. Or listen, it's tough out there right now. So you remind us why we got to keep fighting, right? We can't give up. We're not done yet in this game called this life at this point, right? Let me ask you a question. If people want to, say, support people like you or anybody who are doing all this light work with animals and everything that you're doing that's beautiful, how do they do that? Now, not everybody's loud and crazy like us. A lot of people are very shy, but I think that they would like to feel like they're part of the solution. What would you say to them? Like, right?
Well, let me answer that. But before I do, I want to add this quick little notion, because what you just said is so important and it means so much to me. Number one, thank you for the kind words. But number two, what I hope comes across, and similar to your journey and similar to your path, as I mentioned a little bit before about my backstory, like for me, nature is healing.
Yeah.
Mother Nature is the end all be all when it comes to therapy, when it comes to finding yourself. I believe the world would genuinely be a better place if we could all sit in silence with our own thoughts. And it's so much easier to do that in nature. Why? Because you get distracted by birds and then you go down for a walk and then it makes you think about something else. You see an insect and you start to question why something like this foreign alien could exist below your feet that you've never seen before, and what are its challenges. So Mother Nature has this healing effect about her that, for me, and somebody that grew up, in a challenged circumstance, always went to her when I needed time, when I needed to be in my head, and when I needed to come out a better person. So one thing that I always try to translate through my films and my messages subconsciously is, if you go to nature, you will come out better. And that's an absolute testament in my personal life. So number one, if I can inspire people to simply go outside, to not just be a viewer in the spectacle of all this majesty that I get to capture, as my job, but if I can motivate somebody to put the camera or the phone down and go outside and have these experiences for themselves, I understand the healing power of nature. So that's my personal motivation behind telling the story. And on that subject, to answer your question, what can somebody do if they want to get involved, if they want to take action? Number one, go to her. Go to nature, spend more time outside, ask her, what do you need? What can I do for you? What is it that you need in this area, in this setting? Because nature is dynamic. She's ever changing. She's ever evolving. So the question might be different for somebody that lives in the city versus somebody that lives in the jungle of Costa Rica, but the needs and wants for nature are different everywhere. So number one, take a walk, take a hike, go for a swim, spend more time outside, and the answers will come to you. And number two, support people that are on the ground. A little bit of homework goes a very long way. When you travel, your money, your hard-earned money, can go towards a conservation site or a sanctuary, rescuing animals from pet trade and trying to re-release them back into the wild. Right now, there's so much facade around conservation. A real sanctuary will not let you pose with animals on your shoulders or hold a baby sloth and pose for selfies, but instead they'll tell you how they rescue that animal from the pet trade industry and how they're nurturing it back to health and how they're going to release it back to the wild. So number one, go to nature. Number two, do a little bit of homework and support people on the ground. My conservation site, worthmorealive.org, we try to put a value to nature by economically supporting the people on the ground. So our Jaguar film right now, we've sustained the project for an additional 5 years simply by making the film because we support the scientists, researchers on the ground.
Oh my God, I'm just so excited about everything that you're doing. And for everybody out there, you can follow him because I follow him. And okay, now we're going to go into some. You said something about alien. Did you say something about an
I
alien?
did. That was a little bit of foreplay for what I felt like was
That
coming up on
I
that we
love
talked
it.
about later.
Little, well, yeah, because the only reason why I'm jumping there is because first of all, there's lightning behind you like
I
crazy.
know that I
It's
promised I didn't cue it up.
Dude, it is awesome. And I'm in this interesting cloud right now in my little room. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Oh God, did you see that just went by my window? There's some
Yep.
real amazing energy going on here.
There's some energy.
And by the way, can I just ask you a quick question before we go into the paranormal and supernatural? Philippe, do you believe that we're all connected?
100%. I mean, if you think
Thank
about
you.
the fact that we are breathing the same molecules that dinosaurs did, hundreds of millions of years ago, if you believe in the fact that there's sharks roaming oceans for over 450 million years that have outlived dinosaurs, like we are connected on a molecular level way more than we believe. And so not only physically, but I think emotionally and spiritually, we're all in this together and we're of the same genetic makeup that
Mm-hmm.
prehistoric animals were once created with. So I think down to an energy level, we are connected. We are in this together.
Yeah.
And we are as much in the fight of evolution and preservation as animals that once roamed the planet hundreds of millions of years ago.
I think you're right. We're in a fight right now. And I will say this, as much as it doesn't feel like it, because we don't hear enough of it, I know for a fact, because I follow a lot of people and I talk to a lot of people around the world, they're trying to be part of the solution. There's this new movement of people who are trying to spread this light work and say, hey, I just want to remind you that we're all part of the solution. We're all connected. Without Mother Earth, none of this makes sense. So let's start with that. And then all of the beautiful creatures that have been here forever, okay? And all the new discoveries, don't get me started with that. When it comes to like mankind, how we started, animals and what have you. But that I think this movement gets you excited about wanting to be part of the solution versus, oh my God, we're going to blow ourselves up with all these nukes. Well, yeah, that is true if we're not careful. But if enough of us are aware of that and keep doing this, like, no, we're not, we're going to push back off that and get everybody together, right? With this force of love and light, and we're going to push up against that dark energy and say, not today, Felicia. Right? No, we got some light work to do. Now, speaking of lights that come from the sky, okay, did you remember, I think it was Jane Goodall. Wait, was it Jane Goodall who had an interview with the talk show host who asked her about Bigfoot? Or am I mixing up the two gals?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm down to
Okay,
go down that rabbit hole
go.
if you want.
Do you believe? Go, baby, go. Do you believe yes or no? And why?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, right? Like, I believe in, I, it's so crazy because my background and my foundation is solely lodged in science and proof, and I want proof for everything. But even science is fact until it's proven unfact, right? So
Right.
like I think that there's so many new discoveries out there to be made. I think that there's so many animals that we want to pretend like we understand. I mean, I would rather hope for a megalodon than a Bigfoot, to be honest with you. The idea and concept of an over
Wait,
60
wait,
foot
wait, wait.
shark
Hold on.
still roaming our oceans.
What megalodon? What is that?
Oh, the megalodon is the shark of sharks. It is
Oh,
this animal that reached over 60 feet in length, ate whales for breakfast, and roamed our oceans for around 20 million years. It only went extinct about 4 or 5 million years ago, but people want to swear that there's still megalodon out there.
okay.
So I go for it, Felicia. Like I will swipe right on any crazy ideologies that are out there because like I said, science is science until it's proven otherwise, right? So
Well, I
we
love that.
haven't
And
proven against a Bigfoot.
well, well, she said to a talk show host, they said, what about Bigfoot? And she said that she was out in all the jungles. Now, wait a minute. Was it her? Yeah, I think it was her. Anyway, was out in the jungles and she talked to multiple different tribes who were hunters around. And she asked them straight up, have you ever seen a um what was it, a monkey or primate or something like that? And she asked them, they said yes. They're like 6 8 feet tall, they stand up straight, and they don't have a tail. Oh, that's what it was. She asked me if they ever saw large monkeys, and they said yes. They're like 6, 7, 8 tall, whatever, like really tall, and that stand up straight. They walk, and they don't have tails. The talk show host was like, okay, this woman is well credited. She was not joking around. He tried to make a joke out of it. The audience did not go there because they were like, this woman is like credible. She's repeating information that these guys way out in the jungle said dead serious to her. So I was like, see, there we go. We ain't crazy. We ain't crazy. Uh-huh. And I'm sure, God, was it someone I know will correct me, but I think it was Jengadal. Anyways, I love them all. They're all just one big, amazing person. So have you had any supernatural paranormal experiences yourself?
So, okay, so this is crazy. So talking about the supernatural, and like one thing for me that like I love indulging in kind of like the extraterrestrials or the what ifs, but what I love even more than that is the fact that we have aliens right here on our planet, specifically in the ocean when it comes to dolphins. So one thing that I'm obsessed with more than anything else absolutely on this life of mine is spending time with wild dolphins. Why? Because they inhabit all of our genuine, organic, natural curiosities, desires, emotions. So as a group, cetaceans, whales, and dolphins, they are the only animals on the planet that have a 4th lobe to the brain. So humans down to rats and mice, we have 3 lobes to the brain. We use our ears for hearing. Cetaceans, however, they use that 4th lobe almost entirely for thinking and feeling. Remember, these are our primordial cousins. They evolved over 60 million years. And so that 4th lobe allows them to understand exactly what we're going through emotionally when they click us with sonar. So for example, a bottlenose dolphin can find a quarter, something the size of a quarter, over a mile away in the open ocean. The ability to register that sonar and then have an image back to you, it knows if you're happy, it knows if you're sad, it knows if you had a burrito last week for dinner, it knows if you're pregnant, it knows exactly what's happening inside of you. And so I spent all this week reviewing some dolphin footage that I've shot over the past few years. And when I was filming these Pacific white-sided dolphins, would make these epic migrations on the Pacific coast. They swim by, they say, hey, Dedee, they're going by the Pacific Ocean as you're on the mountaintop.
I want to do that.
We got to go swimming with dolphins one day. That'll make you believe in aliens. And so what I realized is there was a group of females courting me. The females were swimming around, spraying their scent all over the open ocean, telling me like, hey, like, you're Brazilian, what's up? We've never tried that flavor before. While the males were in the background tail whipping and grunting and displaying aggressively against me, while there was a group of 5 or 6 females synchronized diving and swimming around me as if to say, like, take your pick.
They were, honey, that was flirting. They were flirting.
Yeah. So I have the footage to prove it. So I believe even not only extraterrestrial creatures right here on Earth, but I also believe that they want to mate and they want to see what we can create. And I have the footage to prove it. So dolphins, they'll blow your mind in more ways than one.
Okay. Well, this is crazy. I don't know if you've seen this yet. And if I did a photo shoot for this podcast, they turned me into an aquatic hybrid.
Oh my gosh. I got to see these.
Dude, they're like these amazing hybrid pictures, and it was my like homage, my like respect to the paranormal, to the supernatural, to hybrids, to life, to being curious that if there is any other form of life, was deep in the ocean or up in the sky, I say, hey neighbor, what you doing? Come on down. Those dolphins wanted to have themselves a little Filipe. Oh, they're little horny dolphins. Now, how does your girlfriend feel about you being hit on by a group of gorgeous dolphins? Is she okay with that?
Well, I think she's fine with it because we went out to swim with bottlenose here in Costa Rica, and they were looking at her the same way those females were looking at me. So, that's the name of the game.
So there's this whole horny thing happening out there.
This whole horny thing.
Wow.
Clip that.
Why am I on land? I need to go. I'll get a date out there. I can't. Filipe, I want to ask you another question. And I am actually curious because I know you work with all animals on land, sea. What animal would you like to be reincarnated as and why?
Ooh, what animal would I like to be reincarnated as and why? 100% the rulers of the ocean, the orcas, the killer whales,
Mm,
the most
mm,
intelligent, savvy, sexiest, strongest, capable, emotionally involved animals I believe to have ever lived. When you think about a domain, for example, right? You think about like all that it's like that scene in Lion King, like everything the light touches is ours, Simba. Well, when it comes to being an orca, everything that is blue is yours. They feed on great white sharks. They mate with anything or anyone they want to. They get high off of pufferfish. They hang out in these incredible social dynamics. They bring their heads together. And so I believe what's happening when cetaceans put their heads together, they're communicating without voice, and they're doing so on a telepathic level that it allows them to understand emotion and allows them to empathize to a degree that we could never. So when you think about orcas and how they travel the open ocean, how
mm.
it's truly the Wild West. There's no laws. They have to figure it out, but they do so with their best friends. You carry yourself to a degree without worry, without anxiety, without stress, and they're long-lived animals. They can live over 90 years. And the males, even though they have these ferocious, high-octane lives of having to defend the group, if you're a male orca and you're reigning over your domain, you've got it made in the shade. I don't think there's a better life on this planet than a male orca with his partners, with his best friends, with his offspring, and you look at the open ocean and assess anything as fair game and all is yours. I couldn't imagine a better life than that. To be the king and queens of the ocean. Ooh, that's what I would come back
You
as.
just got chills, didn't you, baby?
Yeah, 100%. And it's not the lightning, although that's helping.
I've got to tell you, that lightning is like on point behind you. Now, I'm going to say one thing. I did hear, I'm in recovery for alcoholism, so I'm 5 years sober. All I heard that
Congratulations, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go, right? Finally discovered my authentic self. I just had to get some things, I got to deal with some trauma, some addiction issues, and that's why this podcast was born out of showing people what you can do with your recovery, what you can do with your life once you discover your authentic self, which, my friend, I am talking to your authentic self. And I would call you a normie because you don't have an addiction. And what a beautiful thing that you've discovered your authentic self in your own way. I found it this way, you found it that way. We met kind of in the middle and on this podcast. And I just want to say, I can't thank you enough for coming on Down with Dedee. And more importantly, I'd like to thank you for helping me with the sound in the beginning, because that was challenging. And my producer is texting me going, how did it go? How did it go? Oh yeah, and there's another male lion. Filipe, I want to thank you so much. And we're going to follow you. All of us are going to follow your journey. You can find everything about Filipe on our webpage, the bio that he has yet to send me. And we're going to give you all the links to everything he's involved with. And Filipe, I just can't thank you enough. There's lightning behind you. And again, please be safe out there. I know you're about to go on a plane and go somewhere. Please, please be safe out there. I know you're kind of a crazy man, but don't get arrested. I don't like the idea that guns are being pointed your way. And I know that no animals will hurt you, because that's never going to happen. I just know that. And be well. Thank you.
That means a lot. The next one we're going to have to do outside. We're going to have to do it in the jungle. We're going to have to do it in your backyard or my backyard. But there's no way we're not doing one where it's adventure themed, because that's what it's all about, right? We're sharing a mutual stoke. We're sharing our mutual passion, love, and admiration for nature. It only makes sense that we get out there together. So
let's do it.
Consider that an open invitation to Costa Rica. Whenever you want to take me up on it, you send me a digital carrier pigeon and we'll make it happen.
I will be there. I promise you. I love to travel. And my change boys are driving crazy. I need to kind of travel. So yes, I'll be there soon. Thank you again, sweetie. Have a beautiful trip and be safe.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
For more information on today's guest, check out the show notes below or visit our website at www.downwithdedee.com.